You do not notice the first time money changes how the room treats you. It happens slowly. At first, it is a late fee you could not avoid. Then it is a landlord who wants one more document. Then it is a bank that says no before anyone even looks at your name. Later, when your income rises, the same world starts sounding different. The same companies that ignored you begin calling you. The same problems that once took 3 phone calls now disappear in 1 email. The same people who used to ask what you did for work suddenly ask what you think. This is your life at every salary level, from $20,000 a year to $1 million. And the strange part is this. The higher you climb, the less the money feels like money. At the bottom, money is food, rent, gas, and panic. At the top, money becomes time, silence, options, and distance from other people's rules. Level 1, $20,000 a year. At $20,000, your life is not poor in a cinematic way. It is poor in a calendar way. Every date on the calendar has a job. The first is rent. The third is the phone bill. The 7th is insurance. The 15th is the payment you forgot about until your account reminds you with a number that is lower than it should be. You learn to time your life around deposits. You know which grocery store marks down bread in the evening. You know which gas station is cheaper if you pay inside. You know that a $27 charge can matter more than a $200 dream. The world treats you like a risk. The bank charges you fees because you do not have enough money for the account that avoids fees. The landlord wants a bigger deposit because your income is low. The doctor asks for payment before treatment. The car mechanic explains the problem in a voice that assumes you are about to choose the cheapest temporary fix. At this level, every problem arrives with a timer. You do not ask, what is the best decision? You ask, what decision gets me through Friday? And that question quietly rewires your brain. Level 2, $40,000 a year. At $40,000, the panic gets quieter, but it does not leave. You can breathe, not deeply but enough. You can buy groceries without adding every item in your head. You can replace a tire without calling 3 people first. You can go to dinner if someone invites you, as long as the dinner is not too close to rent week. From the outside, your life looks normal. You have a job title, you have a direct deposit, you have a phone that is not cracked enough to embarrass you. You start using words like budget because, for the first time, there is something to budget. But $40,000 still has a ceiling you hit with your head every month. If your rent goes up, the progress disappears. If your car breaks, the savings disappear. If you get sick, the confidence disappears. This is the level where you learn the difference between stable and safe. Stable means the bills are paid when nothing goes wrong. Safe means something can go wrong, and your life does not collapse. At $40,000, many people are stable. Very few are safe. Level 3, $60,000 a year. At $60,000, life begins to look respectable. Not rich, not free, but respectable. You can walk into a store and buy the thing you came for. You can say yes to a weekend trip if enough notice is given. You can let automatic payments run without feeling your stomach drop every time your phone lights up. This is the first level where the world starts selling you a better version of yourself. The car dealership tells you what you qualify for. The apartment complex shows you the unit with better light. The credit card company raises your limit and calls it trust. It feels like progress. Sometimes it is. But this is also where lifestyle inflation becomes polite. It does not arrive as greed, it arrives as finally. Finally, a nicer car. Finally, a better apartment. Finally, the vacation you kept postponing. Finally, clothes that make you feel like the person your salary says you are becoming. And because every upgrade feels deserved, nobody warns you that deserved can still be dangerous. At $60,000, The trap is not that you cannot afford anything. The trap is that you can afford just enough to stop building. Level 4, $100,000 a year. At 100,000, people start reacting to the number before they understand your life. Six figures sounds like a finish line. It is not. It is a doorway. Behind one door is the life people expect. A nicer place, a nicer car, nicer restaurants, better vacations, and a version of success that photographs well. Behind the other door is something much less exciting. Cash reserves, retirement accounts, index funds, boring insurance, fewer payments, and the first real feeling that the future might be negotiable. This is where salary becomes a test of identity. Because at 100,000, you can finally perform success. You can also quietly buy freedom. Most people try to do both at the same time, and that is where the money vanishes. Taxes take a piece, rent takes a piece, the car takes a piece, eating out takes a piece. The version of you that wants to look like you are doing well takes the rest. And then one day you look at a salary your younger self would have worshipped, and you wonder why you still feel behind. That is the first cruel lesson of six figures. More income does not automatically create more distance. It only gives you the chance to create distance. Level 5, $150,000 a year. At 150,000, your life starts gaining convenience. You stop doing certain calculations. You do not check the menu before entering the restaurant. You do not spend half an hour comparing flight times to save $40. You do not panic when an appliance breaks. The world becomes smoother. Customer service responds faster. Banks send better offers. People hear your job title and fill in details about your discipline, intelligence, and future before you say another word. This is one of the hidden privileges of income. Money does not just buy things. Money buys fewer small humiliations. But it also buys better excuses. At this level, it becomes easier to justify waste because the waste does not hurt immediately. A subscription you forgot about, a car payment that is too large, a vacation you put on a card even though you could have waited, a house that stretches the budget because everyone says real adults buy houses. Nothing breaks you at 150,000. That is what makes it dangerous. The damage becomes quiet. You can leak thousands of dollars a month and still look fine. Level 6, $250,000 a year. At 250,000, the room changes. Not every room, not everywhere, but enough that you notice. Your accountant speaks to you differently. The bank starts using words like relationship. The real estate agent calls you before a property is listed. People begin assuming you are busy, important, and hard to reach. At this level, money begins turning into access. You get better advice because you can pay for better advice. You get better terms because someone wants your business. You get better service because losing you would cost more than helping you. But your new enemy is not bills. It is complexity. Your taxes become complicated. Your time becomes expensive. Your calendar fills with obligations that look like opportunity from the outside and feel like a cage from the inside. You start asking a different question. Not, can I afford this? But do I want the life that comes with this? Because 250,000 can become golden handcuffs very quickly. The mortgage assumes the income continues. The school fees assume the income continues. The cars, vacations, memberships, and expectations all assume the income continues. And suddenly, the salary that was supposed to make you free becomes the reason you cannot slow down. At this level, the danger is not being broke. The danger is being owned by an expensive life. Level 7, $500,000 a year. At 500,000, money gets quieter. The loud problems disappear first. You are not worried about groceries. You are not choosing between the dentist and the electric bill. You are not waiting on hold for an hour because a $40 mistake matters. You can pay people to remove friction. Someone handles the taxes. Someone cleans the house. Someone watches the calendar. Someone fixes the problem before it becomes a problem. This is where income starts buying back pieces of your attention. And attention is more valuable than most people realize. But 500,000 also reveals something uncomfortable. You can earn more than almost everyone you know, and still not be wealthy in the way wealthy people mean it. Because income is a river. Ownership is a reservoir. If the river stops and there is no reservoir, the lifestyle starts draining immediately. At this level, the difference between high income and wealth becomes impossible to ignore. The high-income person says, "I can afford it." The wealthy person asks, "What does this own, produce, or protect?" That question changes everything. Level 8, $1 million a year. At 1 million, the world no longer treats you like a normal customer. It treats you like an account. People do not just sell to you, they position around you. Banks want deposits. Advisors want management fees. Charities want your name. Luxury brands want your attention. Friends of friends suddenly have ideas, deals, and urgent opportunities. The strange thing about $1 million a year is that it creates distance from many ordinary problems, but it also attracts new problems wearing better clothes. You can fly differently, live differently, wait differently. Waiting is the part nobody talks about. At 20,000, waiting is punishment. Waiting means the bill gets worse, the car problem gets worse, the toothache gets worse. At 1 million, waiting becomes strategy. You can wait for the right deal, wait for the right market, wait for the right person, wait for everyone else to panic. That is one of the deepest advantages money creates. It lets you stop reacting. But even here, the salary is not the whole story. $1 million can disappear if the life attached to it costs $1,010,000. Private schools, second homes, staff, taxes, travel, divorce, bad investments, a business downturn, a few years of believing the income will never change. The numbers become bigger, but the math stays the same. If everything coming in is already promised to something going out, you are not free. You are just managing a larger machine. Final level, the gap. Every salary level has a broke version. 20,000 can be broke because there is not enough. 40,000 can be broke because one emergency destroys the plan. 60,000 can be broke because lifestyle inflation arrives as relief. 100,000 can be broke because success becomes something to perform. 250,000 can be broke because the life becomes expensive to maintain. 500,000 can be broke because income was mistaken for ownership. And even 1 million can be broke if every dollar has already been assigned a job before it arrives. That is why the real level is not salary. The real level is the gap. The gap between what you earn and what you need. The gap between what impresses people and what protects you. The gap between looking successful and being able to say no. At the bottom, the gap is almost impossible to create. At the top, the gap is easy to waste. And somewhere in the middle is where most financial lives are decided. Not by one huge decision, by hundreds of small ones. The apartment you did not upgrade. The car payment you refused. The raise you invested before you learned to depend on it. The emergency fund you built when nothing was wrong. The quiet account nobody clapped for. The boring choices that slowly made you harder to control. Because wealth is not the moment people know you have money. Wealth is the moment money gives you back control over your time. And the salary is only the beginning of that story. At every level, the salary is not only a number. It is the price of calm, the cost of options, and the distance between a problem and a crisis. That is the real ladder.